Hey, Emma,
Yes, Madelyn.
what do you call it when you dream up, you concoct just an unbelievable rendition of probably the most popular ice cream sundae in America, fit for two, fit for a king, but then you realize it was all a dream?
I don't know. What do you call it?
Split fiction. Hello and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your interactive film host, Madelyn.
I'm your two people working together as one host, Emma.
And thanks for tuning in to this week's show. Here on Talk This week, we're talking about Her Story, and we're talking about split fiction. Emma made a horrible face at that joke, by the way. I should quit.
I did not make a horrible face. I
She
made
sucked
a
in her
normal
cheeks.
face.
She went, ooh. Just want you to visualize it.
Yes, we're talking about Her Story and Hers Story.
Exactly. That's very good. That would have been a better joke. Yes, some odd parallels. I mean, story and fiction split in the title or personality, identity.
Sure.
Lots of great things for the mashup. So stay tuned. Historically great at that.
Yeah.
So Her Story. Am I wrong, by the way, that Her Story was like Gamergate involved in some way? That didn't get brought up
You're
anywhere.
Wrong, I'm pretty sure.
Great. It just felt like something that would be.
I mean, it got brought up in terms of like, this isn't a real game type stuff. But that's sort of like a side part of Gamergate, not like the.
Cool. I don't know
Also,
why I
Sam
had this in
Barlow's
my
a
head.
man, so.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Her Story is a 2015, per Wikipedia, interactive film. Although, nonsense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nonsense genre descriptor. Released for iOS, Mac, Windows, eventually Android. That's like basically like a lot of sifting through video footage. Security camera, the game. Except not security camera.
Yeah.
Cop show, sort of the game.
Yeah, it's like interview footage.
Is Her Story propaganda? Discuss. Just kidding.
So I actually went and played this week.
Look at you. Gaming history.
It was I owned it on Steam from some time.
Did you play it on your Steam Deck?
I did not actually. I just played this on my computer.
Okay, that's true. This does feel like a typing game.
Yes, I thought that playing it on my Steam Deck would actually be harder.
Yes, the rare occasion.
The main thing you do is type in keywords in this game, so
feels some Steam Deck bad.
Yeah. It is also on mobile platforms. So, maybe if it was good at making the keyboard pop up on Steam Deck and I could use it like a tablet, maybe that would be fine. But I didn't feel like figuring that out. I just played it on my computer.
Fair enough.
I had sort of set it aside as like, well, I guess I impulse bought this at some point, but I don't really think it's for me, honestly, after years of reflection on it. But I figured it's pretty short. I owned it. We were talking about it. I should give it a try. So I played it and I finished it. Probably wasn't for me.
I was going to say, what's the review? That sounds right.
I do. So the main... We can talk a little bit more about the story, but the main thing, as you're saying, is you have access to this database of clips that is showing this woman getting interviewed in relation to a murder. And you
in
can
1994.
Yes. You can only see 5 clips at a time. So every time you put in a keyword, it'll tell you how many clips you found, but you can only see the first 5 clips that contain her saying that word, essentially. So when you open the game, it has like
thing, right? You can't search like scratching your nose. I mean, that's a made up thing. No, just only words.
Yes, this is only words. I think that Sam Barlow's Telling Lies and Immortality have more advanced searching capabilities or more different searching capabilities that you can also use. In this, it's just like what's in the transcript, essentially. Cool. Unless I really overlooked something, but I'm pretty sure.
Emma's bad at the game.
Maybe I was bad at the game. But yeah, it comes preloaded with murder, and it shows some clips, and you're supposed to type in words to find more clips that you haven't seen before, and sort of fill in the gaps of what happened over these like 5 or 6 various interviews that the police had with her in relation to the murder of her husband. So it only shows 5 clips at a time. So if you like search like the name of the victim is Simon. So if you search Simon, you get like 60 clips, but you can only see the first 5 of them. So you have to be more strategic in what words you're searching to get new clips to show up.
There's about 250 overall.
Yes. I know you don't have to find all of them to finish the game. I did. There's a neat little trick you can do once you're down to a few clips to sort of break it and find the rest of them.
Emma's a gamer.
But yeah. I liked searching, I guess is what I was getting at. I liked the process of searching.
Yeah, but you didn't enjoy the content so much?
Yeah.
That's fair. As I was saying, I think it's crazy that there was debate about this being a game. Saw that a lot in the reviews and the discussion around it. It's not, like, I'm going to say, of course, it's not crazy. People have stupid opinions about that all the time. Like, I understand. I live in a society. I understand that. But this just doesn't feel... like, I can understand the walking simulator thing in games where you're really just walking. I can understand people being like, well, I don't know, like, I'm holding a button. Or in things where you're just advancing dialogue. But this feels so obviously gamified to me, especially given that I feel like there are now, and I'm not going to be able to name them, Emma, I'm sorry, but I feel like there are other games that do this.
Sure.
Now.
I was thinking about last year I played No Case Should Remain Unsolved, which is not an FMV game, but is like you get like out of order pieces of testimony from various people that you then have to sort into order, which is a game where I also found the process fun and found the content more engaging than this. So if you like her story, you would probably like No Case Should Remain Unsolved. I'll just
check
throw
it
that
out
there. Yeah, I mean, Madelyn is like searching through your files for a document that you can't remember what you called it, a game.
Maybe. No, it's not, because that's not fun.
No, I mean, I see if you're academically thinking about games and you're writing like a paper on games, whatever, I sort of see the value at that level of being like, what is a game, right?
Sure.
What defines a game? I feel like talking about it as just an average player, or even at like the critique reviewing level,
popular critic,
it isn't an interesting conversation to me. I feel like we've talked about this a little bit on the show. Like, I just don't think that, at least now, what I've settled on is I don't think that policing what a game is very valuable to the medium.
Because this is a game about the police.
Very funny.
I know. No, I just don't. Yeah. I fundamentally don't feel like this game is that much different than like a point-and-click adventure game.
Yeah.
The mechanic is slightly different, but ultimately you are solving puzzles in a similar way. Or like, how different... This is about to be a crazy thing to say. How different is this game from Scribblenauts? Or Drawn to Life, I guess, is maybe what I actually mean. No, Scribblenauts. I think Scribblenauts is what I mean.
I think the difference is... So this doesn't give you, like, feedback.
I know.
Necessarily. It's not like, you now understand the twist.
You get the internal satisfaction.
Yeah. You are providing your own feedback in discovering
It's also
things.
like a notebook game before, notebook games were cool. Or in between when notebook games were cool.
Yes, I think that he does include this in his later games, but I really wished it had a in-game memo pad so I could like write down words that I wanted to search later. Because I just did it on my phone for this one.
2015 was really peak crime, wasn't it?
What does that mean? You looked at the statistics now?
No, I don't mean statistically. I just mean, he talked about in some of the interviews, Sam Barlow, about listening to Serial, like right at the end of this.
Yeah.
Right?
It does feel like a very Serial-inspired game.
Yeah, but also like True Detective was around this time too. And I recognize that in some ways it was not peak crime. Like certainly there is more true crime now probably than ever before, and it will continue in that direction.
If anything, it was like
there's the monoculture around it here.
Yes, the point where it starts going up.
Yes, the inflection point, perhaps.
Yes, there you go.
Yes. So the story of this game, though, is kind of wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Madelyn lore corner you want me to hit, but there's a lot.
We can talk about the story. If you haven't played her story, spoilers for that, I guess. But it's 10 years old now.
Yeah, which is why
and honestly,
it's eligible.
It's not that original. Maybe that's what I'm.
It's very soap operatic.
Yeah. Yes.
In like many of the tropes.
Yes.
So you're watching this interview footage of a woman ostensibly named Hannah Smith, and you find out perhaps throughout. And I'm interested to talk to you about how you felt about the pacing of the game, by the way, because I feel like I've been bringing this up a lot on the show lately. Who knows why? But pacing a game like this feels more or less impossible.
Yes.
Or like breadcrumbing. Figure out how to breadcrumb people, especially for gamers who don't like I mean, I know it's listening, but this feels like gamers don't like reading the game to some extent. Like figuring out how to give people hooks to figure out what to search next when you don't really know what they've already seen, and it could be like any number of paths through the game, is one, really cool, but two, seems impossible to me. Anyway, by hook or crook, through some path, you theoretically figure out in this game that Hannah, this woman who's being interviewed, you never see the detective, by the way, you don't hear the questions.
Yes.
The detective is Sam Barlow. By the way.
The questions and detective's lines were apparently scripted, and he did deliver them to the actress, but it is not included in the game.
Which, by the way, other anecdote, he went full Hitchcock on this woman, which seems not good.
Well, he did not go full Hitchcock.
Sorry, you're right.
Let's not...
That was...
I watched The Birds this year. I know that he threw a bird like in that lady's face. That did not happen in her story. I feel like
so there was no Hitchcockian throwing of birds. However, he was kind of mean to her to get a good performance, which I just think is bad. I think that's bad.
So I couldn't find... I saw that in the Wikipedia and I followed the source. I couldn't really find like him... I know he very much admires Hitchcock, which is kind of red flaggy. I mean, not to be really online, you know. I'm using
like
that
Alfred
sort
Hitchcock.
of facetiously.
You're a
but
murderer,
it was more that it just was like they did it in 5 days, and it was just them.
Yeah.
So it felt more like it was like an intense pressure situation, at least how the actual interview described it, rather than like he was purposely being mean to her. Sure. Again, this was just following the source that was listed on the Wikipedia page. I don't know if it's talked about it elsewhere. It clearly has not gotten into hot water of any sort. So I just want to put that out there before it's like, accusing people of stuff that isn't quite true,
That's fair. That said, doesn't sound like the most pleasant acting experience, sitting in like a cubicle for 5 days at a time. And like she also talks about it in interviews. She's like, "Oh, I realized a couple days in that this game's success pretty much all hinged on me."
Yeah,
and that was a lot, which is crazy. Anyway, let me actually summarize the plot here before I get into more about it. So it turns out Hannah is a twin. Like, had a twin at birth. Big brackets around all of this, first of all. But according to the story that you uncover, Hannah is a twin, had a sister Eve at birth, but the midwife faked Eve's death so she could have a baby because she didn't want to have another husband after her husband died. She wanted to have a baby, so she stole Eve. But then the midwife died. And so like Hannah's parents didn't know, like assume that Eve is dead. Mm-hmm. But Eve finds Hannah, they move in together, and they just kind of led a double life, by which I mean 2 of them pretended to be Hannah.
Yes.
Followed like strict rules about how to be Hannah and how to get along. Unfortunately, then Hannah fell in love with Simon. Then there's all sorts of messy soap opera affair nonsense that happened. He's having an affair with Eve. She gets pregnant. But then Hannah's pretending to be Eve all along. Like, blah, blah, blah. All sorts of, like, mistaken identities, Shakespearean stuff.
It's specifically, through the way they talk about it, very inspired by, like, sort of Grimm's fairy tale type vibes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff with, like, mirrors and princesses and towers that they talk about. So it's very much meant to evoke that sort of thing, which is, they're kind of just like, you know, soap operas for kids. So
fair.
Soap operas for little old kids who would have been allowed to watch R-rated movies, probably.
Correct. Anyway, in the end, Hannah accidentally kills Simon. It's like a mirror fragment or something, right?
Yes.
But because Eve is pregnant, they agree to cover it up because that feels like what's best. And then, remove the brackets. Was any of this real?
I don't get where, having played it, maybe it was the order I got things. I don't get where the split personalities read comes from at all. It feels very straightforward to me. So
because you have a big brain.
But I don't know, maybe I just got something earlier that I kind of forgot about that implies that there's something else happening. But it really does feel like I'm like, yeah, duh, yes, it's twins. Come on.
But ultimately, finally at the end, it's revealed. Now, this is a game, you know, we were talking about protagonists in games, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when are you playing as you, right?
Yeah.
When are you playing as a character? And this might have been a game where you thought, I am playing as me. Or at the very least, I'm playing as a version of me who, like, got a job as a forensic detective at some point, right? However, the game kind of reveals at the end, you get like a little chat window, that you are actually Sarah, Eve's daughter. And this was all maybe like a way to try to help you understand your mom.
Yeah.
Joke's on her. Some people think she's got a split personality, and Emma thinks that's crazy. So it was not effective.
Yeah.
And that's the game.
That's the game.
And he made it. I thought this was a fair critique. He felt like other detective games don't make you feel like a detective, which I think we've talked about on the show sometimes. The idea that, like, in Ace Attorney, you're kind of a detective. I mean, you're a lawyer. But you're kind of a detective, but those sorts of games don't actually make you feel like a detective. They make you feel like it's point and click, look at things. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, you're playing the thing is you're playing a character in those games.
Right.
Right? And you're following a narrative that's more standard.
Yeah.
So that's like you've been cast in the TV show and you're playing the TV show, and they wanted to make one that was more like you're actually figuring it out.
Yeah.
In sort of I think it was mostly like the linearity. On the, you know, the searching and how they made this work. There's a gamesindustry.biz article that interviewed Sam Barlow, and he said that, you know, he wrote the first draft of dialogues, and then he used a big spreadsheet to break them all down into their unique words, identify ones that happen too little or too much, and then make slices where he would search for those words and then tweak words and then check for interconnectivity and distribution. So it seems like he really just like went to town on a spreadsheet is your answer for how they made this work.
That's one, really cool, and two, like, certifiable. I mean, he did say, and I think this is neat, he was, you know, Sam Barlow, this was his first independent game.
Yeah.
And before that had made, you know, was really well known for some Silent Hill games that he worked on, basically. And he both wanted to make this game independently because he didn't think anyone would finance it. But he also talked in several interviews I read about how, you know, of course he could have made another kind of Silent Hill-y game, and he probably would have had good ideas for that. But he wanted to make a game that he could do on the budget that he had. There was a good quote from somewhere, I don't know if I wrote this one down, but he was basically like, I didn't want someone to look at this game and be like, like, imagine what Sam could have done if he'd had a few more $1 million.
Yeah.
Which is why I think, while I do think that this choice contributes to the, is it a game dialogue, I think doing it as video capture is really smart.
Yeah, people are scared of FMV games.
I mean, fair.
The gamers, you know, I am also sometimes scared of FMV games. I'm scared when live action footage shows up in Yakuza. So
if they were using it for anything else, I would not be scared. If they would put, Kuroda in there, live action, I would welcome it. But I don't want the boobed ladies.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't want it.
But yeah, this did, for all that I was kind of like on it coming out, it did make me go, I should play more FMV games, which is, I don't know, what does FMV stand for?
I think it's full motion video.
Full motion video, yeah, which is essentially just live action, games that make use of live action footage as opposed to graphics. I should play more of them. I played Should Be a Scramble a while ago. That was one.
Yeah.
Does Alan Wake 2 count, sort of?
Kind of. Let's say kind of. Strong maybe.
Because I think it's cool. It's a cool combination, I guess. I do think that the pacing works really well if you're approaching it, like, sincerely in, like, okay, I'm gonna listen to what this woman says and pick out keywords and then search for those keywords. I think that if you go into it being like, what soap opera twist does this have? And then immediately search twin.
Sure.
You may have you may have broken the pacing a little bit.
There was a quote from him, and I did not write down where this was from, unfortunately. But he says, in theory, people who are engaging with it, even if they get the beginning and the end of the story, they're going to want to see what the middle was. They're going to want to see there's more to what's going on. They'll want to explore the characters and spend time listening to them. And when that started coming together, that's when it felt like, hey, this is something interesting and different. So I get that, right? Like, you hopefully want to have crafted a game where even if you just luck into getting the beginning and the end, that you're still interested in a little bit more of the why or the details. But you're right. It's hard. People want to gamify that game.
They want to gamify the game. So true.
Well, gamers like to break things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is probably not a game that rewards you. Like, you're going to feel like, you want to feel like you're figuring things out, not like you're breaking things in a game like this. Like, breaking it. It's interesting to think about, because a lot of the times I think, like, the gamer being able to feel like they're breaking it, that's a cool thing that only games can do. It's actually interesting to sort of be like, actually, but like, not in not all genres is that a cool thing. Yeah. Not a cool thing here, just bad.
I do feel like I'll be interested to see what his next projects are, and it might be interesting to play one of them closer to release, just to like actually sort of fully
experience it without all the context around it.
Yeah. I think he has 2 projects at his studio, which is like Half Mermaid and somewhere else right now, so we'll see. I also thought it was really funny in all the interviews that I read with him around this time, people would ask, like, what's your next game? And he'd be like, well, I don't want to be just the video guy, I'm trying to think of something different. And I'm like, how'd that go?
Well, speaking of being the ex guy,
yeah.
Let's talk about Split Fiction.
Joseph Fares wants to be the co-op guy. He
absolutely does.
Loving being the co-op guy.
Why have more places not gotten on board with this yet?
I don't know.
I mean, on one hand, they do it really well, and it's hard to compete with, but it does feel like people should have looked at these and been like, yes, this. Everybody loved It Takes Two. Can you believe it's been 4 years since It Takes Two, by the way? I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
You can believe it. Great. Never mind.
I can. Well, they actually have a pretty good quick development cycle there for these games.
It's true.
I do feel like there's been a rise in like 2-player platformers since
That's true. We played like 4 of them at PAX East.
since like A Way Out came out.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be seeing a little bit more like and the friend slop games.
What is that?
You've not seen the discourse around the friend slop term?
No.
It's like peak and content warning and that one game where you're picking up stuff it's where you hang out with your friends. Like little low budget looking games where you hang out with your friends and people are just attaching slop to the end of everything to
we like
reduce
slops now.
reduce
It's a
the
funny
meaning of what it's used for. No, I just mean that there are, I feel like, more co-op games of different forms coming out now than there were when A Way Out first came out. I guess
That's true.
What I'm saying.
And thank God.
Yeah.
Anyway, Split Fiction is 2025. I think it came out in March. Co-op action-adventure game from Hazelight, led by Joseph Fares, published by EA, for all current platforms. It's co-op. You can play it both local and online, which again, thank God. More of this, please.
Yep.
Although he did mention in at least one interview that I read, he was like, actually, it's kind of hard to be, like, running, like, rendering split screen simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, actually, that's sort of technically difficult, which is not something that I, as a dumb gamer, would think about even a little. Simply would not cross my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in Split Fiction, you play as either Zoe or Mia, which is the names of his daughters.
Yes.
Which is cute.
I liked, there was a Rolling Stone interview with him where he says, like, it's just the names. They're 4 and 2, so it's not personality-wise, he says. He says, that's just because I love my daughters. Plus, Mio and Zoe are really cool names, don't you think so? I was like...
funny in interviews.
It's like, yeah.
He's notably funny at award shows, but he's just, like, good. I'm glad you liked it.
When he said this, when he announced it at the Game Awards, like, those are the names of my daughters, and then he, like, points them out in the audience.
Heck yeah.
They're looking exhausted.
Hashtag girl dad.
Way up way past their bedtime. They cut to them in the audience. This is very good.
Anyway, Zoe and Mio, not the daughters, are authors. Mio writes sci-fi, Zoe writes fantasy. And they've been invited to a publisher along with like other authors who they think is going to publish their work. But actually, the company is there to scrape their brains in a sort of AI-y way to like use them for their ideas and their stories. And what happens is that the two of them end up trapped in the other person's story. And they have to like work together to get out and defeat the AI overlords. As much as Joseph Fares does not want this game to be about AI, it is about AI.
Yes. Yeah, essentially like they've invited them there and they're supposed to be using this like cool technology to like be really further exploring their ideas, right? And it sort of puts them in like a big VR simulation. But Mio freaks out and is like, this seems suspicious. I would like to go out. And when the director tries to drag her back, she ends up like in Zoe's VR zone. So they're in the same like pod thing, essentially. Hence why they get mixed up in each other's stories.
Have these people not read young adult classic Heir Apparent?
I guess not.
My favorite young adult book. Anyway. It's similar in gameplay vibe to It Takes Two, just less divorce energy.
Yes. It even has a reference to the elephant scene.
Good. But it does not have Dr. Hakim. Which we're grateful for. Although there was one interview, I think it was the Vice Games guy, which like, ugh, where he was like, no, Dr. Hakim is good. And Joseph Fares was like, yeah, he is. I think people are going to reevaluate this. And like, I don't know, buddy. Like, I'm glad you feel that way. But yes, just like It Takes Two, tons of variety. That was the best thing about It Takes Two. It was really cool. And that like, no one piece of it was like, so, oh my god, this is mind-blowing. But you weren't really ever doing anything for more than 5 minutes at a time, and they did all of it pretty well.
Yeah. Also in that Rolling Stone interview, Faraz was talking about like this is a really tough part of their games, actually.
Yes.
Because even if you're using a mechanic only for like 5 to 10 minutes, people want it to feel good, right? So if you've got like a snowboarding section, it has to feel like a snowboarding game. If it's got combat, you want it to feel like a combat game.
Yeah.
And when you're making a game that's all combat, like he used Devil May Cry for an example, it's like, of course it feels great. That's the only thing they're working on.
Right, and they probably worked on it for like 3 games.
Yes. Whereas with the Haze-like games, it's like, well, we have to make all of these feel sufficiently smooth and like good and fun, right? And it's all these different mechanics that we're throwing in there.
Which is awesome. And like kudos to them. I think it's interesting that he is a film guy who is making games that are so gameplay focused in a certain way.
Yeah, another interesting quote from the Guardian interview this time. Specifically, he said that the variation in pacing came from his movie background.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you make a scene that's really cool, he says some people in games are like, why are you only using it for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that costs a lot of money. And it's like, well, in a movie, if you have a cool scene, you don't repeat it just because it's cool. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, like, it's about, like, using things sparingly still, which is kind of against, like, some games being praised for, like, content reuse.
Right.
Also, right? It's sort of like the opposite approach in a way. It's like we should make a ton of unique stuff, actually.
Well, it's interesting that he is like breaking every rule of what we don't like. You know, it's like it's a co-op game. It's like 12 hours long. It's like sort of silly. I don't know. He's like successfully doing things that don't feel very industry right now. I do have to do a quote from the Vice interview because it was funny just for Talk This purposes. He says, "We're still, I would argue, learning how to tell a story in a video game because it's still tricky. I mean, obviously you have some games out there, Last of Us, God of War, you know, big games that have done it really well."
Invented them, you might say. Invented
he
the
downplays
narrative.
it a little there, but Joseph, we know what you're saying.
He knows the history. He's listened to our podcast.
Yeah. He's also throwing major shade at some of his testers. He was like, they've got bad, we're like, they need to work on their collaboration. Actually, he says, "I still say today that if you want to see where your relationship is, you should play our games. Because it's a good way to see if your communication is actually good.
Yeah.
Because when we design the gameplay and the characters, it's key that you can communicate." I think this last bit is really funny because the interviewer was like, "Oh, I played it with my girlfriend." He says, "You're still together with your girl?" Good stuff. Tasty stuff.
One thing that Split Fiction has that increases the variety even from the other games is you have sort of like your main story where you're switching back and forth between these sort of main fantasy and sci-fi stories that the characters are currently working on, right?
Yeah.
Or at least like variations of these sort of main fantasy and sci-fi. And there's variations in there of how you're playing and what's exactly going on and how you need to cooperate. But you can also find like side stories hidden within the levels that are pulling from like very old ideas that these characters had, like even back into like stuff they wrote in their childhood, which like can go basically anywhere you can think of. You can be pigs for a while. You can be in a horrifying dentist teeth land. Lots of other stuff that you can find that just like adds these like tiny little like bonus stages essentially that are entirely different from like the main thrust of the game even. And some of them are hard to find apparently too. Like you won't necessarily find all of them in a first playthrough, so you can kind of, it's like a way to converse about the things that you found while playing the game too.
What would it take to get this man to make a WarioWare game? I feel like he's suited for like a required co-op WarioWare.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he's doing. I mean, it's not at all what he's doing.
I mean, I do think it would be fun to see like a micro game collection from Hazelight, a la UFO 50.
That would be sick. A required co-op UFO 50 would be baller. Here for it. Something that they do well, so I would call out because it's a good strategy, is they've continued the friend pass here.
Yeah.
Wherein it's not both of you that have to own the game, just one person has to own the game, which I think is so smart for a game that is required to be 2-player.
Yeah.
This game also got great reviews, sold super well, just like It Takes Two. It's getting some Game of the Year buzz again. I don't think they can repeat, but, you know.
I'd be surprised if it won this year.
Yeah.
I think it's totally possible it could still be nominated
Sure.
for Game of the Year.
Yeah. Polygon called it the Dark Souls of its genre, which I thought was a really funny way to describe a game like this, to be honest.
Was it facetious at all, or was it serious? Oh, man.
It was very serious.
Oh, man.
He said it said it was, like, hard for him and his girlfriend.
Oh, I see. Just
yeah.
Difficult. Very good.
IGN called out basically there aren't too many games that are like, they didn't say this, but what they said, there aren't too many like Jumanji games. They're like, it's surprising that there aren't that many video games that are about jumping into a game.
Yeah.
Which on one hand is true. On the other hand, have they heard of Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Come on. Tron World.
It Takes Two.
I feel like there have actually been a lot of Tron games in general.
Have they heard of Tron?
Have they heard of Tron, yeah.
This is also a game that Story Kitchen has picked up. And on one hand, is Story Kitchen real?
Unclear.
Sorry, Story Kitchen is a company that has optioned every video game that has come out in the past 3 years.
Yeah. Theoretically, this has people attached to it.
This
already.
one seems... I wrote it down at first. I was like, Story Kitchen optioned it. Okay. And then I kept reading. I was like, oh, like, John Chu is supposed to direct. Sydney Sweeney is attached. That's an insane attachment for this game, by the way. Has she played it?
I don't know.
Who's done a deep dive on who did Sydney Sweeney play Split Fiction with?
I mean, he's, you know, Joseph Fares is a movie guy, too, so... Theoretically, he might know people.
Yeah, but she's in it and executive producing, which means she's played it.
She loves it.
Yeah. I need a games journalists. Please find out who her partner was on this. She's probably played It Takes Two too. Who was her partner on that?
Honestly, I just love a profile in like Story Kitchen. I should look and see if anything like that exists, because they really are just like picking up every sort of indie-ish title they possibly
this
can.
One is high profile. I mean, this guy's a big deal. It's EA game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have they made anything that's come out? Again, I know movies take a while.
They're pretty new, I feel like.
I know, but
so I don't know if anything would have come out yet. I feel
just
like we're
waiting.
around the time where we need to start seeing like a trailer for something.
Right.
You know?
Like, let's announce something.
Yeah.
Did you see about the guys they're flying to Sweden?
No.
So there's apparently one of these like super secret levels. It's called Laser Hell.
Oh, yes.
And it's like
Lasers.
very, very hard to get through. And the first 2 people to like post that they gotten through it are these 2 Chinese speedrunners. And when you get through it, you get an FMV of Joseph Fares being like, wow, you did this. Like, you're crazy. If you're watching it on YouTube right now, you're a loser. Like, and if you've done this, like, you are the first. We will fly you to Sweden and you can take a sneak peek at our next game.
Wow.
And he said he'll do it.
There you go.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Anyway, I am excited to eventually play Split Fiction. I liked It Takes Two. I expect the story here to be similarly lightweight.
Yeah.
I hope the story is better. Actually, like, by far the worst part of It Takes Two was the story. So, I hope they seem to have put themselves on more solid ground here, so we can hope.
Yeah, I do think the story, from what I've seen of it, is pretty lightweight.
Good.
But in a way where the beats it's hitting are sort of less ambitious anyway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I don't think it doesn't seem to detract as much but I don't know if you, but at the same time, I don't know if you get the heights of like the unicorn elephant scene.
God, that was so crazy.
You know?
God, I blocked that out.
Like, I feel like It Takes Two's story being kind of like uneven and weird, but also having like those moments that will stick with you.
In some ways, it's true. You do kind of. I'll walk back my statement here a little bit because you kind of want that for a co-op game, right? You kind of want there to be some stuff that you look at each other and you're like, ugh. And some stuff where you're like, oh yeah. I just felt like the ending was bad.
Sure, yeah.
So are you ready to mash?
I'm ready to mash.
Okay. I mean, full motion video does unfortunately have to be, not unfortunately, neutrally.
Fortunately.
Does have to be included. It probably has to be a 2-person co-op game because it just feels like mashing something with split fiction and not doing that is incorrect.
I wonder how you would make like a co-op like investigation game.
Well, I mean, so the easy way out of this is to say, well, like if you play Blueprints with a partner, like if you play Obra Dinn with another person, if you play Outer Wilds, like pick any of these notebook games and say, just put someone on the couch with you.
Sure. But I feel like, you know, the Hazelight games play with sort of like broad strokes, narratives, like the prison break, you know, the like odd couple against the corporate overlords. So I feel like you could take like the classic like buddy cop.
Buddy cop's not a bad idea.
And like each of you is like one of the buddies, you know. But I'm curious because I feel like, you know, Hazelight's stuff is mostly like platforming. And so I wonder how like split screen would like translate to like investigating, you know?
So here's what's tricky. I want to keep unpacking this because I think this is a cool idea and I'd like to figure it out. But here's what's tricky, right? It's figuring out how do you make it though so that like the player action is what's important. Because some ways the most successful detective figure out games are really happening in your brain.
Yeah.
They're not happening looking at the screen. And the trick with, you know, some of the great things about the Hazelight games is, no, like you have to work together doing things. And so if it's just like, oh, the two of you are looking at different things in the split screen, maybe that's something that works for an online co-op thing where you can't see what your partner is looking at. But it's trickier in a local co-op setting. And maybe that's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
But I understand how to make like a 2-player investigation game to a certain extent. Oh man, that just flashed into my brain as if there's a game that this reminds me of, and now it's gone.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's Keep Talking and No One Explodes?
That is kind of like this a little bit.
Yeah. Damn it.
Among Us.
Yeah, maybe the game mashup is just Among Us.
No, that's not quite right.
It's not.
I feel like there are some like classic buddy cop scenarios that would like kind of work, like the like good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, well,
interrogation.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop, pretty good. Can't believe we're making a propaganda game, Emma, but that's okay. What can you do?
We can make them funny animals and it's fine, right?
You're right. That's correct. Good cop, bad cop is interesting. Yeah, it's a little more dialogue based, which I don't know about that, but like that each of you only has certain options, right?
Yeah, or like one of you's like watching while the other one's asking questions. Like there's probably, I feel like to make this work you would have to make it so that you are engaging in sort of the same activity but doing different things.
Yes.
And you just have to kind of figure out what those different things are and whether that makes sense.
Yes. That's valid, I think.
Like, I'm thinking of, like, autopsy, doing the body autopsy in Disco Elysium, where you're, like, filling out the paperwork and Kim is actually doing the work.
Yeah. No, there's something to that. You have to make it kind of an unrealistic cop situation, right? Where you're kind of, like, doing everything.
Yeah.
There could also be, like, you could do, like a Dexter thing, maybe, right? Where it's, like, you are on the force, but also you're breaking the law. Like, there might be something interesting to that tension, too. I think that you're onto something, and it's just tricky to actualize.
Yeah. It's just because it doesn't, the settings of Hazelight's games allow for so much variety.
Yeah.
And then sort of just attaching that to just a, like, investigative thing.
Yeah.
Does feel like it sort of saps a little bit of the charm out of it, but maybe you could make it more fun. Like I said, we can make them funny animals.
They can be magic cops.
Funny animals do... Yeah, we could do magical realism stuff.
That'd be kind of neat if one of you is, like, telepathic. Okay. Yeah. If one of you has, like, some mind reading skills or whatever. God, that would be really bad. That's a really bad thing to have.
Why is that?
Like ethically bad. But something like that, where the two of you have different supernatural powers.
Sure, yeah.
And you have to, like, work together in that way to solve interrogation puzzles or something.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Atlas just remastered that Raido Kuzunoha, which is like a investigative game with the SMT demons.
Oh, cool.
So he, like, investigates things and has to use his demons to solve little environmental puzzles or help with, like, interrogating people.
That's
like that
cool.
Sort of bringing in that in terms of, like, detective work with, like, powers of sorts.
I think we've got something, and I think when those two Chinese speedrunners meet them and this is the game, I'm gonna be pissed. Be angry.
Yeah.
I think this would be a cool mashup.
Yeah, I think there's something. I think that there's potential there. It is, as you said, propaganda. But we can figure that out.
We'll put a disclaimer at the beginning that's like, in this world,
cops
they are
good. Good. Unlike the real one.
Like, actually, just as good.
Remember, this is a work of fantasy.
Yeah. Well, on that note, listeners, this has been another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Do you want more games to have live videos in them, either as the whole thing or just as a reward from the devs or somewhere in between? Do you want more games to let you play with someone else on your couch? Do you want more games that involve typing? Or divorce? Just kidding. That's for fans of It Takes Two. More Jumanji games.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a holdover from it also being a mobile game, but Her Story does make typing noises when you type, and it's like, I'm already making
typing noises.
Game.
They are here, and they are
I don't need double typing noises.
Nice. Well, if you have thoughts on this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat Emma's about to pull 2 more from, and read our blog. You have something new on the blog.
Yes, I did another replay review of a anime called Granbelm.
So check that out. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, you ought to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode on Sundays at noon. It's my side quest next week. I did earlier today think to myself, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I had thought of a topic for next week? The topic is Emma's birthday.
Well, I guess that will be.
The topic is, what does Emma want for her birthday? Yeah. She's already told me.
I want you to subscribe to Talk This.
That's right. And also it'll be about something else. But Emma, what are we talking about in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, for our old game, we're talking about Tamagotchi Connection Corner Shop.
Sick.
And for our new game, we are talking about Lost Records, Bloomin' Rage.
So look forward to that. Listeners, that's all we got this week. Thanks for tuning in. Emma, send us off.
This week, I hope that you are not recorded saying anything.